So I just got in. I'm gonna make a cup of tea and tell you about something weird that happened today. I posted something on WeChat, posted some pictures because it's snowing back in New Jersey right now, or it was at least. So I posted a picture of that, and I guess I don't even know honestly what her title is because people, like, this is where I'm going with this. No one tells me anything. So like when people are like, oh yeah, you have to talk to, your advisor or like whatever, like randomly one time I'm like, advisor? I'm like, I have an advisor? Like, who is that? I think that's who this person is because she's the one that's been kind of like helping me with little things. But anyway, that's not where I'm going. I mean, it is where I'm going, but she's like, oh, are you back in the States? Like, did you go back home? I'm like, no, like, I'm posting pictures that were sent to me, like I didn't take the pictures. She's like, okay, because you have to participate on 11/23, so November 23rd. Today is the 16th, so exactly a week before. She's like, you have to have your midterm. I guess it translates as an exam. How does WeChat translate it? What does it say? Yeah, it says midterm exam. And I'm like midterm exam? I'm like, what is that? This is within the art department. So I'm like, I have painting. Like, that's my only art class. Like, what could I possibly have for a midterm? One of my classmates was like, oh, I see, the advisor said something about your midterm. Like, what are you doing for it? And I'm like, what? Like today is the first time I'm hearing about this. Like, what is this? And they're like, oh, like you haven't prepared anything for it? I'm like, why does this always happen? Like, why am I literally always on the outside? I never know what's going on. And so I asked him to explain it to me. He's like, basically, like, so it's within, I guess, the department. And although I've been here, like, it's more than my halfway point of being here. Like, I'm supposed to be here for 4 years. I've been here for 2.5 years. Like, the first year doesn't really count. So if I take those 3 years, this will be my 1.5 year mark. So I guess it's, like, within the department. Like, it's my midterm exam, which I didn't know that we had. So I messaged my advisor, like, privately. She's like, yeah, so you have to, like, write some kind of paper, present a PowerPoint, like, in front of the teachers in the department, I guess. And I'm like, what? Like, this is in a week, and, like, no one's told me about this. What's in the PowerPoint? I still don't know. And then she sent me a Word document. She's like, yeah, this is, like, the outline for the paper. And I'm looking, I'm like, I don't know what the hell this is. And I just, like, I don't know. I feel like my heart kind of like sank a little bit because I'm like, once again, I'm gonna look like an idiot because so many people equate my like ability to speak Chinese with my intelligence. And like, obviously if I'm fumbling through my Chinese and if I don't know what's going on, they think I'm dumb. I mean, this is with the exclusion of like my close classmates and stuff. Like, I don't get the sense from them that they think I'm an idiot. We have like relatively complex conversations, like between like their English, my Chinese, like we make it work, But now, so apparently this is something that I should have been preparing for. And I messaged my friend who is also an American living here, teaching at this university. Kind of have like a running dialogue of all these like ridiculous things that happen. And I told them, and they were like, ask for an extension or something. Like, when were you supposed to, like, how were you supposed to know about this if someone didn't explicitly, like, say, okay, on this date you have to do this? I don't know if the other students were told ahead of time. I kind of have the feeling that they were because, like, they asked me, they're like, oh, like, you haven't prepared something? And I'm like, what was I supposed to prepare? Like, I don't know anything about this. I think it happens with a lot of... I've kind of like touched on this in different aspects, like different realms of why this happens, like with being excluded by like friends or feeling like isolated, feeling whatever, like in a social group. But it also happens like in an academic or like a work setting because it's like people don't necessarily reach out and be like, hey, you know what, this might be something that the foreigner doesn't know. Let me like extend this information to them. Like, they might have all known about this because they know in the school system here that, halfway through your studies, you have, like, a midterm thing. Just like how in America, at my university, I know that after you've studied, like, a year or two or whatever it was, I can't remember now. I think it was, like, 2 semesters, so it was, like, a year. After you studied, like, 2 semesters of art, you have foundation review. Like, that's how my school did it. So, like, I don't know if I can chalk this up to, like, oh, like, I'm not from this, like, culture, like, school culture. so I didn't know about it, or if it's like I wasn't told about it. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna look like an idiot because I don't know what it is. And at this point, I don't even know who to ask because everything is like, I don't know, everything's left out for me. Like all the like critical details that I really need to know just seem to be glazed over. You know, it's funny. It's like when I think about my life here, I'm like, yeah, I don't really have all that much stress. Like the HSK test is a huge source of stress, but I'm like, in my school life, I guess, otherwise outside of that, I'm like, I don't really have a whole lot of stress. And then like shit like this happens and I'm like, oh no. My eye is twitching constantly. I'm like, I'm definitely under some kind of stress. Like I'm literally at this point just waiting for the aneurysm that I feel, you know, just like, it's gonna happen. I know it. Daisy, why didn't you poop outside? Why? Why? You didn't poop on your normal schedule. Why? Yeah. Story of my life, man. So, sorry. So yesterday I took the kids to get their microchips put in. Also took them for their, do you hear that? The cat is pulling things off my whiteboard on the wall. Excuse me for 1 sec. What are you doing? What are you doing? No, you don't need to do that. Whatever it is that you're doing. You don't need to. You don't need to. Look at you. You're so handsome. Oh, I just bit his ear by accident. I'm sorry. His ear was like in between my teeth. I'm sorry. Don't bite me. I love you. I would never hurt you. I wouldn't hurt you on purpose. I'm so sorry. Took them to get their rabies shots. All was fine. Everything worked out fine. I got these really adorable, hold on, I'll show you guys in a second. I got Daisy's distemper and rabies shots last year. You know, they gave me like a little booklet saying that she had whatever vaccinations. And I didn't realize I was supposed to bring pictures this time because last time I just sent them, like while I was there, I sent them a picture on WeChat and they printed it out. But they were like, you didn't bring pictures for their booklets? And I'm like, no. So I had to go like around the corner to like a little place and have like passport photos printed out of them. So look at these little like passport photos. Isn't that so cute? So I have like probably 8 of them each left, so I can hang on to those in case I need them for anything. But they each got, let's see, whose is this? This is Daisy's. Each got a little booklet with their picture and their information and all this stuff and like what shot they got and all that. So that's good because this is like what I need, I guess, for them to have proof that they have their vaccinations. I already messaged the company, the moving company, and made sure that these books were okay, and they said it's no problem. So that's good. And then today, when I had my break in between painting, registered their microchips. Those needles, I don't know if you guys saw, I don't know if I said, those needles are thick. Like, I felt really bad. Daisy was actually okay. They got a couple people to come and hold her down because they, you know, she had to wear her cone, of course, at the vet because she will bite and I don't have a muzzle for her, so. But she was really good. She was good during her rabies shot. I was like looking at her and I'm like, it's okay. And I'm like making eye contact and I'm like a baby trying to get him to smile for a picture. That was like me trying to distract her. But she did really well and they checked for the chip once it was put in and it registered, so it's in there. So that's good. My son though, I felt really bad because apparently cat skin is a little bit thicker, so it's a little bit harder to get the needle in and to get the chip to stay in. So they did it one time and he was like crying real bad and I felt so bad, and they pulled the needle out. The chip was like half out of his skin. So they took it out and then they did the other side and he had to get the shot again. And then they had to like, it did the same thing. So they like pushed it in or something. Like I saw the chip and then I was like really worried. I'm like, well, what if the chip falls out in his carrier and like whatever. But then I got home last night and I was feeling around and eventually I did find the spot. Like I felt, it feels like a little grain of rice under their skin. So I felt that. I feel like microchipping your pets is pretty standard in the States. Like most people do it. Here, they had to check to make sure that they could read the chips that they were in. They had to like go in the back and find a chip reader that they had never opened before, and they're reading the instructions how to do it. And I'm like, man, if you lose your pet here, like even if you've microchipped them and like paid the money and registered it and all that stuff, first of all, I don't think anyone would bring a pet that they found to the vet and be like, yeah, I found this pet, like, can you check it for a chip? I don't think anyone would do that, because there's so many pets that just like run loose, you know, like I've seen dogs with collars and whatever that are not like walking with a person, they're just out, you know. So like I don't think anyone registers that as like, oh, that dog might be lost, like that might be a lost pet. Even if someone did bring it to the vet, I don't think anyone would ever check to see if it had an owner, you know what I mean? Like I don't think anyone would ever be like, oh wait, before you adopt this pet or do whatever, like let's make sure no one's looking for it. Like I don't think they would do that, which is scary. Hi guys, it's Thursday. It's actually Thanksgiving if you're from the States, so happy Thanksgiving. Well, it'll be belated by the time you see this, but yeah, my family doesn't really celebrate Thanksgiving all that much. We don't really even do a dinner like on the day of Thanksgiving or anything, but yeah, I know that for a lot of people it's a big holiday, so happy Thanksgiving. This week has been a rough one to say the least. My small son, he is still at the vet now, but we went Monday. He came home Monday night, still was not good. Tuesday morning, so we went back. He stayed there and he's supposed to come home tomorrow, assuming everything's okay. And I'll tell you that, I'll get into like why he's there, but so they have a little WeChat group that his doctor and his nurses and me, you know, we're all in together, and they can like give me information, send me videos and all that stuff. Essentially what happened was he was on Saturday, wait, was it? Wait, I can't remember. I think it was Sunday. I woke up and I noticed that he didn't eat a whole lot of his food from Saturday night, which isn't necessarily like super unusual. Like he's kind of like finicky a little bit, but usually he'll like go back to it later and eat something. So I didn't think anything. I just thought maybe the food was sour. I like picked it up, threw it out, cleaned out the bowl, and put new food Sunday morning. So then he ate like a little bit off the top, a little bit, and then left it. And then I was like, okay, whatever. So then I went about my day and came back to give him his dinner. He hadn't eaten any more of the food, so he hadn't eaten anything like throughout the day. And then I was like, that's not good, because with cats, you know, they can, even for like a day or so of not eating, they can have like liver damage and like kidney problems and all this stuff. Like it's more dangerous for them than a lot of other animals to not eat and not drink. Gave him his food Sunday night and he didn't touch it. Like he smelled it and he was like, you know, whatever. So that made me really scared. Monday rolls around, he's like still, like he ate a little bit of food. He ate a little bit of wet food, which I thought it was great. But then he like wouldn't eat, like it wasn't normal, you know, it wasn't like he wouldn't touch it. So I'm like, you know what, I should just go to the vet. Went to the vet Monday. The vet is like 2 hours away, by the way. They did a blood test, which didn't show up anything like super unusual. What's it called? An x-ray. And said that he was constipated. So then they did an ultrasound after that to check on his kidneys, because they said there was some kind of abnormality on the blood test, but it wasn't like crazy. It was just like, we should check it out. So they did an ultrasound for the kidneys and I guess for his like whatever. So they checked him for parasites, for like his lower urinary tract and something else. So they gave him an enema, and we waited around for like more than an hour and he still wouldn't poop. So they're like, well, just bring him home. He'll probably like feel more comfortable at home and he'll just go and do it, you know, whatever. So then I brought him home. It was Monday night. He didn't poop. They're like, if he doesn't poop by tomorrow morning, bring him back. Next morning, wake up, still didn't poop. And Tuesdays I have class in the morning, so I texted my teacher, I was like, listen, I'm sick. I'm really sorry. I'm not coming. Because, like, I'm sorry, but that class, it's my Chinese class, which I might have mentioned to you guys. I'm not sure. It's a huge waste of time. Like, we're not learning actual Chinese. It's, like, weird poetry and stuff like that. First of all, it's way beyond my level. It goes right over my head. Most of us are sitting there, like, drooling on ourselves. We're like, what is happening? If my cat is dying, I'm not sitting in that class wasting my time. So I went to the vet, and they gave him a second enema because they were like, he still hasn't gone, you know, but they checked his temperature first, you know, with a little butt thermometer, and there was like poop all over the thermometer when it came out. They're like, well, I mean, it's coming soon, so So finally, you know, they gave him the enema, it came, and he like pooped all over himself. Like I'm thinking like, how am I, because I gotta get a cab. I'm like, how am I gonna sit him in somebody's car? And they're like, oh, so do you have time tomorrow? And the next day, I'm like, well, tomorrow I'm off, but Thursday, you know, today, I have class. And they're like, okay, well, he's gotta come back for like shots those 2 days. And I'm like, first of all, I live like over an hour away. And second, it's like almost 200 kwai round trip. And I was already like, you know, pretty far into it at that point. And they're like, well, he can stay here. And I was like thinking this is gonna be like bajillions of dollars, which I had already, like, to get him his blood test, his x-ray, his ultrasound, his, all that stuff, like, it was already a lot of money. I've spent a lot of money, which, I mean, it's secondary, but it's like, you know, and they're like, it's gonna be 150 a day, like 150 kwai a day. I'm like, that's cheaper than one round trip. Like, we have to do that. I'm sorry. Like, I can't, you know, I can't keep coming back. You know, it's not a thing about the time, really. It's like, it's a money issue, and also just like his comfort. If he's sick, I want to make sure that he's like being observed. And if he needed fluids twice, and he needed, you know, all this stuff, they changed his food, whatever. And I'm glad that like he was there for that, to do that. I went and visited him yesterday, but he is at least eating on his own from the videos that they've been sending me. That's been that. I'm supposed to go, assuming that nothing else is wrong. They're gonna, you know, said that they would keep him again today for observation, make sure that everything was okay. And if he came back clear for everything, I can take him home tomorrow. So tomorrow is Friday, so he will have been there for, you know, since Tuesday. Yeah, man, it's been a rough couple of days. Like, I've hardly been sleeping, and when I am sleeping, I'm having awful anxiety dreams. I'm like waking up sweating in a panic, like overheating. It's just like not good. My appetite has not been there. I've had really bad headaches. I'm just not feeling great. Like, I found out a week ago tomorrow that I have to tomorrow do a presentation type thing, like a mid-program thing, like review or something. And thank God for my classmates who are just so caring and lovely because they, I don't know, I've been having like weird moments of like, okay, let's just put that sidebar for a second. So Tuesday, after I was coming home, Tuesday I dropped him off at the vet, and then I had to come back home to get his medicine and his food and all that stuff and go bring it back to the vet. So it was like, it was all day. I was just traveling, going back and forth. And so I go to get on the bus to leave the vet. You know, I had taken a cab there because I was with him. I get on the bus and I realized that I didn't have my card that I usually use to get on the bus because it was in my other bag, and I hadn't thought to, I don't know why, I've never actually done that before. Like, I didn't put my card back in my wallet, and I didn't have any small bills. So it's too quiet to ride the bus, and the smallest bill I had was a 10. So I'm standing there waiting, you know, it's not like the bus drivers don't have change, so I'm standing there waiting for people to pay cash to get on. And no one was paying cash, everyone was paying with a card, so I'm just standing there waiting. Like, I wasn't gonna go sit down, you know, I didn't pay for the bus. And the bus driver, like, I must have looked awful. The bus driver looked at me, he goes, "Can you understand me?" Like, in Chinese, and I said, "Yeah." He goes, "It's okay, just," like, the tone of his voice, he was like, "It's okay, just go sit down." And, like, I couldn't even get "thank you" out of my mouth without crying. And I was just sitting there blubbering on the bus, and everyone's, like, looking at this, like, why is this weird foreigner just crying on the bus? You know, because I guess, you know, maybe they thought I didn't have the money or something, which I didn't. I mean, I had it in theory, but I was like moved to tears by this random act of kindness. And then, so that was the first leg of the journey. And then the second time I got on the bus, and like I was standing there for a while. It was a packed bus. There was no seats open. And like this old man like looked at me and goes, he's like, "You can have my seat." I'm like, must have really looked ragged that day because like no one would give their seat up for me. Like, you know, I'm young, I'm able-bodied, even though like half the time I can't move because my back hurts, but like people can't see that, you know? So that happened. But yeah, anyway, back to where I was going with this. My classmates, well, one in particular, who isn't even my year and was sick today and came in to help me anyway because he said he would, bless him. He helped me write up my paper that I have to give one to all of the professors, and they have to, it's like not like a scorecard, but it's like, I'll show you. So they have to write, you know, how I did or whatever, I don't know, whether I'm doing well in the program. And it's got like a bunch of my paintings in it for them to look at. He took pictures of me while I was working in class today and put them in here. He made the entire PowerPoint that I have to present tomorrow. And he like coached me on what to say. And he's like, for this slide, just count to like 5 and then move to the next one. And I'm like, bless you, honestly, because I would have. And he even like sent the file to the printer, and he's like, I told them a foreigner's coming in for these files. So, Lalfei, I appreciate you. But yeah, so I have to do that tomorrow. I'll let you know how that goes. Today is like, I don't know. Today, oh shit, I just dropped my phone. That's how today is going, actually.